Welcome to the U.S. Department of Transportation's video presentation about conducting urine collections. This video will demonstrate how to properly conduct a DOT-required urine collection, and that will help ensure that collectors and collection site personnel follow the regulations in Part 40 when collecting urine specimens on all DOT-regulated safety-sensitive employees. When collecting DOT urine drug test specimens, what counts most is doing it right, the first time and every time. Doing it right means each and every collection is conducted properly, and that the security and integrity of the collection process is maintained at all times. Doing it right is important to make sure that the process is fair to employees. Doing it right means focusing on the details. You have to understand and apply the specifics of each step in the collection process each and every time. Again, what counts most is doing it right, the first time and every time. Ultimately, doing it right will help ensure the safety and security of the traveling public. Remember, this video is a guide and does not replace the actual regulations. If you are new to the program, we hope this video provides the information you need to properly conduct urine collections. And if you are a veteran to the program, we hope this video serves as a reminder to ensure that you are properly conducting these collections. Now, let's take a look at the DOT video on conducting a urine collection.
Hello. After such a great intro, let's get right to work showing how a urine collection is done right, the first time and every time. These fine folks are waiting patiently to take their drug tests, but it all begins with someone else, a very important cog in the machine without whom nothing would run right. Let's go meet that person now. Eden?
That's right, Eden Baumgartner.
Eden has been doing urine collections
For a very long time. You can just call me the collector. Have a seat.
Okay, so just how difficult is it to collect a urine specimen?
It's simple.
Really?
No, not really. It's an incredibly delicate process requiring a federal drug testing custody and control form, or as we respectfully call it, a CCF, a split specimen collection kit, a secure restroom, and a donor. Every collection must be conducted in an orderly and proper manner. The security and integrity of the collection process must always be maintained. Remember, do it right the first time and every time. Properly conducting urine collections helps to ensure the safety and security of the traveling public by detecting prohibited drug use by DOT-regulated safety-sensitive workers in the transportation industry.
In this video, we will cover how to properly conduct a urine collection. First, we will demonstrate a collection scenario that will meet the requirements of the regulations. Second, we will review all the elements that make DOT collections successful, both in terms of collection site security and integrity. Finally, we will review and discuss several problem scenarios.
Are you ready? Tommy Wall?
Yes. Good morning. I am here for a random DOT drug test.
Good morning. Follow me back and we'll begin filling out the CCF.
You'll notice the collector greeted the DOT-regulated employee politely. She's got everything ready. As the collector, you should make sure you're prepared. Ask yourself, do you have sufficient federal custody and control forms, known as CCFs, and split specimen collection kits? Is there a clean work area to complete the required paperwork? Obviously, with her experience, our collector is ready right away. You'll notice on the table there are plenty of CCFs and split specimen collection kits. There is a clean table for the collector to fill out the CCF and a sink for the employees to wash their hands.
Can I see your ID?
The collector must ask for and verify the employee's ID before proceeding further with the collection process. Acceptable forms of a photo ID can be a driver's license, employee badge issued by the employer, or other IDs if issued by federal, state, or local government. The collector will hold on to the ID until the collection has been completed but will give it back after checking the employee's signature towards the end of the collection. It's important to know that an employee cannot be identified by a coworker or other safety-sensitive employee, but identification by an employer representative is acceptable.
Don't forget that once you verify the donor's ID, you need to explain the basic collection steps and let the employee know where they can find the instructions for completing the CCF. Also, you may have a laminated copy on hand of the instructions for completing the CCF. Afterwards, you should review Steps 1A of the CCF with the employee to verify that all the information provided is correct. This information may be pre-printed.
I'm going to need you to remove your jacket and your hat, please. You can just keep them here. I'm going to secure this room. Okay, now I need you to empty your pockets, please. You can put everything back in your pockets except for your wallet. And now please open that and allow me to review its contents.
What you're doing is making sure there is nothing that can be used to tamper with the specimen.
Correct. Once you are sure there is nothing that can tamper with the specimen, the donor can place the items back in their pockets, and we continue with Step 1 of the CCF. In Step 1 of the CCF, the collector needs to document the employee's ID number, state the reason for the test, the appropriate type of drug test to be performed, and all collection site information. If the person being tested is an FMCSA regulated employee, you must document the employee's CDL or CLP number and state of issuance.
You've documented the necessary information. What happens next?
Well, then we ask the employee to wash their hands.
Once the employee has washed their hands, we take a collection kit or allow the employee to choose one. We unwrap or break the seal of the cup and place the unopened split specimen bottles on the countertop. Before we move past this step, let's go over a few things the collector would need to do to deter tampering with the specimen.
This would be the perfect spot to do just that. Welcome to a special presentation, Securing the Collection Site. Lock it down. Okay. No, you don't need to absolutely lock the building down, but you need to make sure it is secure. Several things must be done to prevent tampering with the specimen. First and foremost, the collector should secure all water sources where the collection will occur. This can be done by turning off the water to specific sinks or through the use of tamper-evident tape on the handles of faucets and toilets. The preferred method is to utilize the water shutoff valves, especially if this can be done outside of the collection area. But an alternative is securing the shutoff valves under the sinks and toilets, then securing the valves with tamper-evident tape. Yep, we love some tamper-evident tape. As a collector, it will become your friend and coworker. What should you do if there is an auto flush system? If the toilets have an auto flush system, make sure to shut off the power. But if you can't do so, an easy alternative is to place a solid color strip of tape over the detection lens. Let's talk about bluing toilets. This is another step we take to prevent tampering with a specimen. By taking this step, the collector will be able to easily identify an employee's attempt to alter their specimen. If the toilet has a tank, the collector is required to blue the tank and secure the tank lid to prevent access. Ensure a good quantity of bluing agent is used to get a deep blue color in the water. What should you do with soap and its dispensers? You know the answer: secure them. Toilet paper and paper towel dispensers? You guessed it, secure them as well. How about if there are cleaning supplies in the area? You should secure them too by completely removing them from the room prior to using it for a urine collection. For soap dispensers, the easiest way to secure them is to remove the dispenser bag, but securing the distribution handle works as well. The paper towel and toilet paper dispensers can hide items that could tamper with the test, so they should be inspected before and after each collection. As the collector, it's also your responsibility to inspect ceiling fixtures that are within reach, like lights, drop tiles, and access panels. Again, make sure these areas are secure to avoid the possibility of tampering with the test. Don't forget floor drains. If it can hide something that could be used to tamper with the test, lock it down and secure it. Tape can be used to cover all these possible hiding spots. Now, the final point we want to make is to be sure that the collection area has a single point of entry. If there are multiple doors or windows, guess what you're going to do? You should know the magic words by now: secure them. By now, you should realize the entire area where the testing will take place needs to be secured, and tamper-evident tape is your primary tool. You must make sure that nobody enters before or during the moments the employee is providing their specimen, and then inspect the collection area again. You should be inspecting the collection area before and after every collection. We now return you to our regularly scheduled programming. And we're back.
Are you shooting a movie?
Maybe.
I just want to give a shout out to my dad, my mom, and Jenny.
Focus on your collection.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I want you to take this cup and fill it to the 45 milliliter line.
Okay.
Make sure to let them know that when they are done, do not flush the toilet, and bring the specimen cup directly back to the collector.
Because temperature is a critical factor when assessing the integrity of the specimen, it needs to be delivered to the collector as soon as possible after urination, preferably within 4 minutes of providing the specimen. The specimen must be in the collector's and employee's view until it is split and sealed in the bottles.
Collection kits, CCFs, and the employee's personal belongings need to be secured. If the room was not secured, bring the specimen cup directly back to the collector.
All right this way.
Okay, we finally made it to the bathroom.
Now you want to have the employee wait at the door as you double-check and make sure the bathroom is secure before allowing the employee to enter.
Remember, you need to fill the cup to the 45 milliliter line and don't flush.
In a single-stall bathroom, escort the employee to the door and go inside to make sure it is secure. Verify there is tamper-evident tape securing areas where someone could hide items to tamper with the test. Make sure the water is blued. Then step outside the bathroom and wait for the test to be completed.
What if it's a multi-stall restroom?
I'm glad you asked. Designate one stall to be used for the collection. Outside of that, it's the same process. Escort the employee to the restroom and direct them to use the stall that you designated earlier. Next, allow the employee to enter and, as the collector, wait outside the stall for the employee to complete the collection. Remember, since this is a monitored collection, you need to ensure that the monitor is of the same gender as the employee, unless the monitor is a medical professional.
The specimen cup is full to the line. Now what? Are you looking for something specific?
Initially, you want to make sure there's sufficient amount of urine. Once the volume of urine has been established, the next step is to check the temperature strip on the specimen cup. It should show a reading between 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Before we leave the bathroom, check the specimen for any signs of tampering. Look to see if the sample appears clear, green, or some other color, and make sure it isn't foamy or smelling of bleach. Lastly, double-check the surrounding area in the bathroom for possible tampering as well. When you walk back to the collector's work area, make sure the specimen cup is continuously in clear view of yourself and the employee. Well, now that we are back in the collector's work area, document on the CCF that the specimen was in the correct temperature range.
It's as easy as checking the box?
Yep. Once you made sure the specimen is in the correct temperature range, complete step 2 on the CCF.
How about splitting the specimen?
While in full view of the employee, break the seals and open both bottles. Pour at least 30 milliliters into one bottle and close the lid. Pour at least 15 milliliters into the other bottle and close the lid. Make sure to check the box in step 2 of the CCF, notating it as a split collection. Now that both bottle lids are closed, the next step is to remove the tamper-evident seal, labeled A, from the bottom of the CCF. This seal is placed over the top and down the sides of the bottle with at least 30 milliliters. Follow the same procedure with the tamper-evident seal labeled B, and place this one on the bottle with at least 15 milliliters. Now write the date on each seal and request that the employee initials each one as well.
The collector and the employee are not permitted to sign and initial on the tamper-evident seals while still on the CCF. Warning, warning, warning. This is not acceptable.
Instruct the employee to complete Step 5 of Copy 2 of the CCF. Review and make sure that Step 5 has been completed correctly, and compare the employee's name and signature on the CCF with their photo ID before returning it to them. I will now need to complete Step 4 on Copy 1 of the CCF.
Wait, did you do Step 5 before you did Step 4? That doesn't make sense.
Trust me, it's correct. Complete Step 5 on Copy 2 before Step 4 on Copy 1. Remember, I told you I've been doing this for a very long time. Besides, that is what Part 40 requires. Then go through the CCF and make sure all the info is complete and correct. Hand Copy 5 to the employee. The employee may want to list any medications they are currently taking on the back of the CCF, just as a reminder in case they need to speak with the medical review officer, otherwise known as the MRO.
Where does everything go?
I just told you.
I mean, how are the completed forms distributed?
Well, I've removed Copy 5 and handed it to the employee. Take Copy 1 and place it into the pouch without the absorbent material. Then place the sealed specimen bottles into the pouch with the absorbent material. We're done. The collection is complete.
Woohoo!
Feel free to gather your things and have a nice day.
Thank you.
What about that?
What?
The remaining urine specimen.
Once the employee leaves, there's no need to keep the specimen. It can be discarded.
The end?
Not yet. We still have a few things to go over.
So, not the end.
As the collector, it is your responsibility to get copies of the CCF to where they need to go. Revisiting your question about distribution, copies 2 and 4 need to be faxed or transmitted to the MRO and the designated employer representative, DER, within 24 hours of the test or the next business day. Also, it is your responsibility to ensure the specimen is shipped to the lab by hand delivery or courier.
Now we're done.
Not just yet. Now that you've seen a DOT urine collection that meets Part 40 requirements, we should discuss several problem scenarios to introduce additional Part 40 compliance knowledge. Knowledge is power, right? Remember, do it right the first time and every time.
Well, without further waiting, here is... Welcome to another presentation. We present to you additional Part 40 knowledge to assist you in doing it right the first time and every time. First, we will look at what to do if the temperature is out of range. Second, we will review direct observation procedures. Third, what if the employee does not provide a sufficient quantity of urine specimen? Fourth, what do you do if the donor possesses something to tamper with their specimen? What does a collector do if they are presented with a specimen out of the temperature range? Check the temperature strip and note in Step 2 of the CCF that the temperature is out of range. In the remarks section, write why a direct observation collection is being initiated. At this moment, the employer can opt to switch to an oral fluid collection, which should be notated in the remarks section of the CCF. Explain to the employee why a direct observation test is now required, and that it must be completed regardless of the time of day or prior obligations. The collector will complete the collection process for an out-of-temperature specimen, and note that this will be one of 2 specimens. Also make sure to include the specimen ID number for the second CCF. Using a new CCF, start the new collection process by following the direct observation procedures using an observer with the same gender as the employee. On the second CCF, notate the same test reason as the first collection, and in the remarks section, document that the specimen is 2 of 2 and include the first collection specimen ID number. Let's say that a female collector is handling the collection. What if she needs to do a direct observation collection for a male employee? At the end of the day, the collection site and employer should ensure that if a direct observation collection is required, they are prepared to complete it. Make sure the observer is not an employee's immediate supervisor or coworker. Doing a direct observation requires the employee to raise his or her shirt, blouse, or dress skirt as appropriate, above the waist, just above the navel. They must then lower clothing and underpants to mid-thigh. They will then turn to show the observer that they do not have a prosthetic device. Once this has been established, the employee can return their clothing to the proper position and provide a specimen under direct observation. The observer must watch urine go from the employee's body and into the collection cup. Using cameras or mirrors to complete this step is not acceptable, and the observer should never locate themselves behind the donor. Once again, remember, do it right the first time and every time. Once the employee has finished urinating, The observer and employee will leave the restroom. The observer should never lose visual contact with the collection cup. They return to the collector's work area where the employee hands the specimen cup directly to the collector. At this point, the collector will complete the CCF for the DO collection and verify that both CCFs have been filled out correctly and that both sets of specimen bottles are sealed properly and sent to the lab. Make sure to outline the procedures of a direct observation collection to the person who will be acting as the observer. You may want to have the procedures written down as well, so you have something to show them if requested. What do you do if the employee provides an insufficient amount of urine or states they can't, under any circumstance, provide a specimen? Good question, but there is a process for that. Let's say that an employee comes in and tells the collector they don't think they will be able to provide a specimen. You will want to encourage them to try. So follow all the procedures as normal and escort them to the restroom that has been secured. If they say they still can't go, ask them to try. If they don't provide a sufficient amount of urine during the first attempt, the collector will make a note on the CCF and tell the employee they now have a 3-hour window to provide a sufficient amount. At this moment, the employer can opt to switch to an oral fluid collection. This should be notated in the remarks section of the CCF. But wait, what do you mean by a 3-hour window? The collector will need to explain to the employee that they have up to 3 hours to provide a sufficient amount of urine. Urge the employee to drink fluid not exceeding 40 ounces. Make sure to document the beginning and end of the 3-hour wait period and how much the employee drank in the remarks section of the CCF. Now, be sure to let the employee know that they will be monitored for the next 3 hours. If the employee does leave, this should be noted on the CCF in the remarks section and notify the DER. If at the end of 3 hours the employee still cannot provide a sufficient amount of urine, the collector must document what transpired in the remarks section of the CCF and immediately contact the DER. Then transmit copy 2 of the CCF to the MRO and copy 4 to the DER. You will provide copy 5 of the CCF to the employee. The lab does not get a copy of the CCF since no specimen was collected. What do you do if you find the donor to be in possession of something that can help them tamper with the specimen in an attempt to beat the test? Here we have a situation where the employee was emptying their pockets and a small baggie of powder falls to the floor. If the collector determines that the item found was intended to help the employee beat the test, you must immediately conduct the collection under direct observation. You want to describe in the remarks section of the CCF what the employee tried to bring into the collection. At this moment, the employer can opt to switch to an oral fluid collection, which should be noted in the remarks section of the CCF. A copy of the CCF is provided to the employee, and the other copies of the CCF are distributed to the MRO and employer. Items kept by the collector should be returned to the employee once the collection process has been completed. Back to your regularly scheduled program, already in progress. That's a lot of information to digest.
I guess it's a good thing you can watch it again if needed, huh? But guess what? We've reached
The end?
the end.
So that is a DOT urine collection that meets Part 40 requirements.
Remember, do it right the first time and every time.
We hope this video provided you with the information you will need to properly conduct urine drug collections and for taking the necessary steps to ensure your collection site is compliant with the DOT requirements each and every time. Thank you for taking the time to view the video and caring to do it right the first time and every time.